And just so you know, my husband is going to be doing a workout in another part of the apartment. So if you suddenly hear some thuds constantly, that is the reason. Cool. All right. Okay, we're streaming live to Facebook now. Hooray!
Yay!
All right, cool. And I am going to go ahead and record the session so that we can have this for posterity and and for our records. So if you don't want your video recorded, go ahead and turn it off. Okay, cool. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for being here and for taking the time to learn about life in the Netherlands. We are going to be focusing on Rotterdam because we have Laura from Rotterdam Partners here with us today, and she'll be answering your questions about living here, moving here, how to get settled in, and where you can find more information. So Laura, I will turn it over to you if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what brought you to Rotterdam.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sterling, for having me in this session, and really looking forward to tell you more about our great city of Rotterdam. My name is Laura Salm. I work for Rotterdam Partners and specifically for the Rotterdam Expat Center, whereby we have a one-stop shop for expats coming to Rotterdam and live here. On the one hand, we have the immigration office sitting with us. You can also come for the first registration and open a bank account. But next to that, we really are the organizations that want to help you feel at home in Rotterdam. So actually, for any kind of question you might have, you can contact us and we will try to find the answer. Or if we don't know it, we will connect you to the right organizations within the city. Next to that, we also organize a few events. Of course, at this moment, all digitally, but maybe I can tell you more about in the end. But it's really, yeah, we're really here for you. And that's what I really want to highlight today. And to support you and your families. Sometimes I can imagine it's hard to ask your questions to either your employer or to others, but know that we are here for you. Maybe a bit more about myself directly. I'm half Swiss. My mom is Surinamese, so I also came 8 years ago to Rotterdam. My mother tongue is Dutch. However, I've never lived in Rotterdam, and I really fell in love with the city. Yeah, don't want to leave anymore. So in the beginning, I might have also had some, even though I speak the language, it was hard to adapt. So I know also what some of you might go through. So also a bit of an expert myself, I would say.
Yeah, very cool. I did not know that your mother tongue was Dutch. That's very cool. So awesome. Well, I wanted to just kind of jump right into when people have, or what the experience is like when people arrive in the Netherlands, specifically Rotterdam right now. Of course, this past year was a rather unique experience. So I want to talk a bit about that and things kind of related to COVID. So where can people get tested? How do they connect with a doctor? Where can they find more information?
Yeah, so I mean, health at this moment is, I think, the most important topic for everyone. And in the Netherlands also now, especially when you come from abroad, of course, you want to get tested so you can leave your 5 days quarantine. And in the Netherlands, you have the GGD, who does that. The tests are in the Netherlands for free. Even though they say, well, you would need to show that you have some symptoms, just call them and say you came from abroad or you don't feel that well, and you can get tested actually pretty fast. I'll share a lot of things through our chat, so you can see the
Perfect.
right links. For all things around coronavirus, go to government.nl. And there you will also find the right links to different topics. I can imagine also about vaccination is a lot of questions at this moment. Also there on this website, you will find more about it. The link I just shared there, you will find the number of the GGD and how you can make an appointment. For the ones that already live here and have a DGID, the best thing is to do it directly through DGID, because then you can track the results directly on the website. Next to that, it's important that as soon as you arrive and you have your BSN, that you register with a health insurer. Be aware that in the Netherlands, it's all private organizations, because I know in some countries you have like a governmental organization, but here it's all private providers, and it's really up to you to find one. Also for that, I'll send you an overview in the chat. It's on our website, and there you can find an overview on how to go about. Especially when it comes to, well, family doctors. That's the next step. First having the BSN, then having the health insurance, and then looking for a family doctor. And be aware your family doctor needs to be within your neighborhood. So it cannot be a family doctor from another neighborhood. Have patience, because I can imagine it's sometimes a challenge because a lot of family doctors are fully booked and they don't take new patients. So there's also a tool where you can put in your postal code. And what my advice is always just give them a call and see whether they have availability at this moment. And if they don't have, go to the next one. Another thing, if you have like any problems, even though you don't have a health insurance yet, or if you're just urgently want to talk to a good English-speaking family doctor, there's the International Health Center Rotterdam. And you can give them always a call. Maybe it's not covered sometimes by the health insurers, but at least you know you have a place where you can go directly and they will consult you.
Oh, wow. That's such an amazing set of resources, Laura. Thank you. Yeah, I know for me, when I first moved here, looking for a doctor, the zip code thing made it, like trying to find a doctor in my neighborhood, made it a little bit easier for me in some aspects of like, oh, okay, well, now I know that these doctors, like these are the ones I could contact. But it also made me a bit worried that I was limited. Is there ever a chance that anyone can't, like if you can't find a doctor in your neighborhood who will accept you, is that a problem? Like, does that happen?
Yeah, no, but there you should have a family doctor. So if it's if you really cannot find one, then I for sure would contact the International Health Center Rotterdam, and they can also guide you in this process and help you, or also give us a call so we can figure it out together with you. How we can go about, because at a certain point you will even get a letter, of course, from your health insurer, and even the health insurer can also help you. So there are several resources that where you may ask for help.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Because I'm sure it could cause some stress for some people if they think they found a doctor and the doctor says, no, we're booked. And,
yeah,
you know, so having those resources, again, is so helpful. Thank you for sharing that. And speaking of insurance a bit, we do have a question from a member. She asks, where can I get advice about Netherlands pension for self-employed people? Is there a go-to resource for that? She says something that's the equivalent of a money-saving expert in the UK. So changing subjects a bit from health insurance to, I guess, business insurance and personal insurance.
Yeah, there's a really great website that is made from the Chamber of Commerce, actually, for international entrepreneurs. It's the business.gov.nl. And actually, as an entrepreneur, you should find there all kind of information. So there's even a section about pension that will explain more, and also on insurances. You can find a lot on that page. So that's really a page I would recommend to everyone.
Cool, very helpful. I know I was writing an article a while ago about all the different insurance types that the Netherlands has. That the Dutch are very into being insured. That there's even like funeral insurance, and
Yeah.
then there's like the different tiers of property insurance. But yeah, that's very helpful. Okay, so changing subjects a little bit. I know that there are a lot of benefits to moving to the Netherlands as a highly skilled migrant. Um, can you talk a bit about those benefits, and also how expats, how the highly skilled migrants can benefit from them? For example, exchanging a driver's license. I know that's a really big one.
Yeah. So if you come as a highly skilled migrant to the Netherlands, usually it's a term that is used for more for the non-European expats, because there it's really written on your residence card. But of course, as a European employee, you can also be a highly skilled migrant. And well, that means especially you come with a certain knowledge that is hard to find within the Netherlands. And the advantage most is the 30% ruling. I can imagine most of you have heard of that. There's a lot of information you can find about online as well. But the first step how you can apply for it is through your employer. So your employer would need to fill in together with you a form that will be sent to the Belastingdienst, that is the tax authorities in the Netherlands. And then you can get the right of having this 30% ruling, which is valid for 5 years. But also indeed, exchanging a driver license is one of the benefits if you have this 30% ruling. And also if you come from certain countries, you may also just exchange it. The steps to take it, because I know it's a question we get a lot, how can I exchange this permit? The first step is actually to fill in this so-called health form at the CBR. If you have DGID, you can even do it online and fill the form in. And then the next step is contacting the city hall in order to make an appointment, whereby you go to the appointment, they see that your CBR form is already filled in, and you bring all the documents, fill the documents with them in, and then as soon as everything is ready, you go again to actually exchange the cards. So the main resource is the municipality of Rotterdam that can do that for you.
Okay, cool. Something that I have enjoyed about my experience of moving to Rotterdam and living here is this might sound kind of weird, but all of the processes that it feels very clear of, once I enter the process of, okay, fill out this form, then you'll be contacted by the municipality, then you'll make an appointment, and then you'll make this next appointment and fill in this form. And I know that sometimes it can feel really daunting for people when they first get here to have to make all these appointments and do all these things, check these boxes. But something I really love about the process is that I know that there's a process. I know that I'm going to be seen after this appointment is made. I know exactly what I need. So that's cool that I didn't know that the driver's license was that easy to exchange. I am not one of the people that's qualified to do that. But yeah. All right. So next question. Let's see. So for the Rotterdam Expat Center, what do you find people struggle with most when they're adjusting to the Netherlands? Is it communicating with people? Is it the food? Is it the workplace culture? What are some common problems or obstacles that you see?
Yeah, what's funny, actually, just what the thing that you mentioned, the many processes you have to go to, or actually to figure out what process needs to be first. I can imagine most people that came to the Netherlands, it's really the chicken or egg story, right? Like, do I first need to have the apartment, or do I first need a BSN in order to get the health insurance? So that's one of the most struggles people have when coming to the Netherlands first. And therefore, yeah, we are here at the Expat Center to explain it to you and to make it as clear as possible. when arriving, because as Sterling just explained, as soon as you know what to do, it's actually pretty straightforward. Another thing that is, I think, the biggest challenge is, although we speak everybody speaks English. On the streets, you can speak English, but you will get from the authorities a lot of Dutch letters. I don't know how you experience it, Sterling, but tax authority letters, or if you have a parking fine, it will be all in Dutch. And yeah, it's a lot of fun sometimes to hear it from people, and some just say, well, I got a lot of letters, but I didn't know what to do, so I didn't pay the fine. But well, be aware, if you get a letter, please take a look, try to translate it or with your neighbors, or even come to us so we can support you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I've never received a parking ticket or fine, at least that I'm aware of. But yeah, I get those light blue envelopes from the authorities, and yeah, I find that Google Translate, for the most part, does a pretty good job. I feel like, for the most part, there are good resources and tools that we have nowadays in the 21st century to figure those things out. Something I have found a little different about my experience here, or something I didn't expect, was having to pay to call certain phone numbers or certain helplines. That's not as common. I'm from the U.S. for anyone who doesn't know that. In the States, we don't usually pay to call like the government. I think I actually called the um, the place where I was going to register my car, the RDW.
Yeah.
And yeah, that there was like a small fee like per minute. And so that was a little unexpected, but I will say, on the positive side, I got through the queue pretty quickly, and I felt like I got the information I needed very quickly. So
yeah,
that was
that's
really
indeed
nice.
funny. There are a few organizations indeed, but it's often more, if it's more private organizations, that they might ask a fee. But be aware, on the website they always name it. It's probably in Dutch, but
Yeah.
be aware, if there's like a little star and you see a price, then it's the one that you need to pay. But yeah, for the rest, Sterling, would you ask about what is the main trouble to adjust in the Netherlands or in Rotterdam? Of course, it really depends on the culture as well. But one of the most complaints we get is actually about the weather. So that's
There's not a lot you can do about that, though.
exactly, that's not what we can do about. But as we have seen, last summer it was a super warm summer, and now suddenly we even have winter. So I think also the Netherlands can really surprise you in all kind of directions as well.
In a nice way, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the heat wave was tough. But I think that this little tiny winter wonderland that we have has been really delightful. And how many do you know how many nationalities there are in Rotterdam?
Yeah, we have over 170 nationalities in Rotterdam. So
Wow, that's
it's a
awesome.
big variety of internationals, and maybe that's also a good one to mention here. So if you are from a country that might not be that present here in Rotterdam, just let me know, because there is, I'm not sure if you've seen at the Boompjes, there is like the flag parade. So you see a lot of different flags, and they're still looking for stories from people all over the world that are living in Rotterdam. I think Sterling is one of the candidates, right, that participated.
I'm actually, I'll drop I think it's
Vlaggenparade. Yeah.
vlaggenparade.nl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did do a video with them, and I don't know if it's been published on their website yet, but yeah, it was cool. I can't remember which nationalities they were still looking to interview. But if you follow them on social media, I'm sure they've posted some announcements about who they're looking for. And it's pretty cool how many, because they do, for anyone who hasn't seen their website or the project, they do like these 2 to 3 minute interviews with someone from a different country that's represented here, and talking to them about their experience living in Rotterdam as a Colombian, as a Brazilian, as an American, and like they asked me about what I like about the Dutch language and what I don't like about it, and what I like to do around Rotterdam. And yeah, they're just like these really beautiful short stories about the people who live here, the people who have chosen to live in Rotterdam. And it's a cool series. You should all check it out for sure. Um, and so, are you familiar with um, like, are there a lot of official organizations for people to connect based on their nationality, if that makes sense?
Do you mean communities or embassies more?
I guess communities, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there are indeed, well, in the past few years, you've seen a lot of communities growing in Rotterdam. Because of course, usually the Hague and Amsterdam, you have all kind of international communities. And here in Rotterdam, we see a growing number as well. So also on our website, if you go to rotterdamexpatcenter.nl and to socials, we have put an overview of the ones that we know of. But I can imagine there is so much more out there in the meanwhile. Maybe it's all a bit stopped because of COVID, because not everybody wants to go digitally. But of course, I know that there's a huge Brazilian community. I think it's even started as a WhatsApp group, and then suddenly there was like hundreds of people joining. And there's indeed a lot coming up. So we have an overview. But also, if you know of more, just let us know, because we're always happy to hear what's going on in the city.
Cool. And that actually makes me think. So, for anyone who doesn't know, IWNG started as a Facebook group. Christina created it in 2017 so that she could connect with other self-employed expats in Rotterdam that she could potentially co-work with. And since then, it's grown, and we've done so much more, which I have found is not it's not uncommon. There are a lot of communities and membership groups that have grown just from people trying to connect on things like a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group. I'm curious, I'm guessing that the Expat Center didn't start as a Facebook group. How did how did the Expat Center come to be?
Well, in the Netherlands, there are actually now, in the meanwhile, if I'm correctly, 11 expat center. So every region has their own expat center. We are all differently organized. So a few are really part of the city hall, part of the government. Here in Rotterdam, we are a foundation. So we belong to Rotterdam Partners. And Rotterdam Partners is the international promoter of Rotterdam. So we have a department that is really focusing on attracting conventions. So, I mean, this year, again, we will have the Eurovision song, right? Probably in some different way than we hoped so. But of course, my colleagues, they also attract like big congresses around health or technology. We have an department that focus more on attracting tour operators and the tourists. So the tourist information of Rotterdam is also part of Rotterdam Partners. By the way, as soon as they're open, I really recommend to have a look at the discovery, because it's not just use the tourist information where you can get your tickets, but also they have a discovery. If you go downstairs, you can really experience what's going on in the city, and they put it in a really fun way. And next to that, the department where we belong to is the innovation and trade. So we actively try to attract international businesses to Rotterdam, and we, as Rotterdam Expat Center, are their part as because we attract talents or help the talents that come here. So we are funded by the City Hall, and also all our services are for free, because we want to help internationals in the city and also the businesses that come here.
That's so incredible that everything that you do is a free resource for everyone here. That's so helpful. And actually, I want to take a step back for a minute, because I kind of forgot that Eurovision was supposed to be here last year.
Yeah.
So like, is it going to come back to Rotterdam at all, or are they just like moving forward? Do you know?
Yeah, so there are a few scenarios right now that they're looking into. So it won't happen the usual way. So there won't be that people all over the world will come, unfortunately, to Rotterdam. But it's still in Ahoy, the convention center in the south. And they're now, I think I'm not really into the material right now, but there are still a few options on whether there will be a few visitors, whether it's only the delegations that are coming from the different countries, or whether there's even broadcasted from the different European countries. So there are still a few scenarios left, but what I know of, it will take place this year for sure. But if it's unfortunately not the way we hoped in Rotterdam, of course, having all those people from all over the world here.
Yeah, that would have been cool, but
Yeah.
hopefully there will be more Eurovisions in the future that can happen in Rotterdam.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the goal, that's the dream. And so actually thinking about that, about what the world will look like when COVID is behind us, when we are vaccinated, what can people look forward to doing in Rotterdam, say a year from now?
Yeah. Well, usually for the ones who just arrived in Rotterdam, we are, well, the Netherlands in general, of course, we are very famous for all our festivals. So Rotterdam usually is full with a lot of initiatives. We love food truck festivals. So there's, I think, once a month we have something around where you can go and dance and have food. But also we have a great variety of leisure activities, great museums in the city, but also different initiatives going on, like walking tours. One of the initiatives I really like is Walking and Talking, which is in Rotterdam. So it's a group of volunteers that walk with expats and also people that just learning Dutch around the city. So you can not learn the language, but practice the language while you experience walking through the city and also getting to know each other.
I love that as an idea for learning Dutch and for practicing Dutch, because I find that sometimes it's really difficult when you're learning Dutch to have something to talk about that's interesting and that's relevant to your life and what's going on. So by walking with people who are in a similar level, I guess, as you are, but then to also have things to talk about, or a purpose for engaging with each other, as opposed to like sometimes it's really hard to show up to like a just like a casual let's chat in Dutch, and then you're all sitting around the table not really sure what to talk about. So I love that initiative as well. And I know that one of the young ladies that started it, I believe, is in our group. But yeah, it's a really cool event. And so what else can people do in Rotterdam?
Yeah, maybe maybe it's also interesting to share is what you can do right now still. So there's a great page, the winter page we call it, on the Rotterdam Tourist Information site, and there you see the different routes you can take in Rotterdam right now. But there's, of course, for example, also the drive-through SS Rotterdam. It's our icon in the city. It's the Holland American line. And what they do right now is you can order your food, but while you're waiting, you just drive through with the car. And there's a whole experience on the history of the SS Rotterdam, and you learn more about it. So it's a whole experience while waiting for your food, actually. So
that's so cool.
So these kind of things are still going on in the city. So have a look at this page. But also another one I maybe would like to highlight, that what to do after we are allowed to go outside again, is the Thursday gatherings Adventure Cafe. Because it's really a melting pot of people coming together, doing business, making friends, You can follow workshops. So Venture Cafe is located in the Groothandelsgebouw. It's the building right next to Central Station. And every Thursday at 5 o'clock, you can go there for a drink while networking with others. And at the regular night, I think there come between 200-300 people to such an event.
I remember.
It's a really great place to get to know others if you just came here to the city, and also to learn more about the whole ecosystem of Rotterdam.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. I know that we participated a couple times to help answer questions. And something that I didn't realize about Venture Cafe and about the events that they hosted was that it's not just for startups in tech. Like that was originally what I thought it was, but it's about so much more. Whatever kind of entrepreneur you consider yourself to be, or whatever industry you work in, like everyone can find something at Venture Cafe or with Venture Cafe that that can really help them enjoy life here and get connected. And that's another thing that I really liked about the programming as well, or that I still like about the programming, because everything's online now. That everything, or at least most of it, is in English. And I think that can sometimes be difficult to navigate when living in Rotterdam. Is I know I've shown up to a couple events thinking it was going to be in English because all the description and stuff was in English, but then I show up and it's in Dutch, which of course is just another reason for me to get better at Dutch.
For sure.
Yeah.
And maybe also right now, as Sterling explained, Venture Cafe is completely online, but they still do it every Thursday from 4 o'clock on. And every last Thursday of the month, we organize or co-host a so-called Expat Cafe. So that's really about expats getting to know each other. If you have questions, we at the Expat Center are present. And also there's always one formal workshop. So the next one is on the 25th of February. There will be a cultural workshop. In March, we will have a tax workshop, which I know is very popular, because soon then you will need to do the tax filing. So have a look at our website and you will find more about the Expat Cafes.
Cool. Yeah. And I'll be there for anyone who's interested in going. And something that would be really nice is if, regardless of whether you are new to the Netherlands, if you are Dutch, or if you have lived here for 20 years, you should still come to these events, because your knowledge is still really valuable to the people that you can meet, the people who are attending. I remember the last one that I attended, I think in November, like someone was asking about where they can find cider. And I happen to have a brand that I love here in Rotterdam. And so, I shared that information with them, or other people who are just looking to network and find out more information about living here, because, organizations like Rotterdam Partners and Venture Cafe and IWNG, we do offer as many resources as we can, but a lot of what we learn, a lot of what we have to offer comes from other expats who already live here. So just because you're not new to the Netherlands or to Rotterdam, that doesn't mean you're not welcome to come to these things. You should absolutely just show up and see what you can offer. See maybe if you can meet someone who can help you with your business, or if you can help somebody find an apartment, or figure out how to recycle their plastic bottles at Albert Heijn.
It's the simple things, right, that sometimes you don't know where to ask for. So in those events, then you suddenly discuss it, and then you'll find the answer.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing that I really enjoyed about that event that I attended was that I didn't really know how to navigate the spontaneity that you would experience at an in-person event of just walking up to someone and talking. But it actually didn't feel too weird, if that makes sense. That it felt natural, in the sense that everyone is at this event. Everyone is at the expat the expat event to meet each other. You know, we all accept, we all know that we're sitting in our home, potentially in our pajamas, trying to meet people. So don't feel intimidated or weird about showing up to these things, because everyone is in the same boat, and you're going to get some really great information out of being there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to go ahead. Oh, and is there anything else that people can do now in Rotterdam that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I think that's most of it, actually.
We got a lot.
Yeah. So maybe, for example, another thing is that if you have seen a Depot Boymont is finished. So it's the big glass bubble that's middle in the center, and it's really spectacular also to have a look at that, to see how that will also be open as soon as everything is possible again. But it's already fun to have a look there. And I said, just check out the winter page, and there you will find a lot of routes that you can walk in Rotterdam to see. I live in Rotterdam South. I know it's not the many people still need to explore that. So if you feel like a long walk, choose the graffiti walk through Rotterdam South, because it's a really nice one.
Oh, how cool. And I'm sure everyone is looking for new walks, new things to do to get out of their homes. Of course, not between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4:30 a.m. because we're all supposed to be home. But to just try something new, to see something new of a city that maybe you just arrived at. And I think I didn't even realize that there's a specific winter in Rotterdam like walks. I'm definitely going to check that out, because I could use a little change of scenery, a little something new for myself here in Rotterdam. And then the last thing I wanted to ask you was, what do you think is the most underutilized resource or service for expats when they arrive in the Netherlands or in Rotterdam?
Yeah, well, I'm also very curious how many of the ones that are listening now actually knew about the Expat Center, because I think that we at the Rotterdam Expat Center, a lot of people are not aware that we actually exist or what we do, and sometimes they think, well, maybe it's not for me, or they don't dare to come to us. But as said in the beginning, we at the Expat Center are here for all internationals living here, having questions about living in the Netherlands. Might be very simple questions as, well, where do I have to do my groceries, or very complicated immigration questions. We try to figure it out for you. But next to that, I think it's really also to find the communities, as you said, Sterling. So have a look at Walking and Talking, or approach us to know where can you learn Dutch. We have a lot of resources that we can share with you. Also, maybe one of the great websites for expat is I Am Expat, where you find a lot of news articles as well, what's going on in the city, or in all of the Netherlands, or communities such as Access. That's also a really helpful organization that can make life easier in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I remember looking up the expat center right before we moved here, and my husband and I don't think we had made an appointment, but we just showed up and had some questions for you, and you were so kind to take the time to answer. I know we had questions about our car, and just like a couple other random things, and you were so helpful and responsive. And I remember later that day, or maybe the next day, because you had told me that you would email me to follow up, and I was like, she's too busy, she's never going to follow up with me. But you sent an email like within 24 hours, and I was just so thankful to have that information. And so with the situation as it is now, do you recommend that people come to the expat center, or can they make an appointment online? How does it work if people have more questions to ask you?
Yeah, for more questions, you can indeed best email us. I'll just put our email address in the chat. And then we can see also, depending on what kind of question it exactly is, but we are still here for you, so we can schedule an appointment online, so we can have a video chat together. But if it's really something that you need to show us or translate, then we can also arrange an appointment to come by. Our expat centers also now safely with the 1.5 meters arranged, so we can also arrange. But yeah, everything is on appointment. So if you just walk in, it might be that our receptionist will ask you to come back with an appointment, so we can make sure everybody is safe.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. And I do want to touch on it one more time about coronavirus, in case anyone had just jumped in. Where is the best information to find, or where's the best place to find information in English? I know that you shared the government website earlier. Are there any other resources that that you might recommend?
Yeah, I'll have a whole list for you. Let me see if this is working. Oh, no, it doesn't take the links.
Oh.
But I'll just share our FAQ of the Expat Center. And there we have a whole section about the coronavirus and where to go about. And there's even one link that shows you that, because I can imagine that you know when the press conferences are, but you only see people talking, but you don't really understand. But there's a web page that the next day it's translated actually. So you can see the whole press conference. So I can imagine it also helps to understand even better. Yeah, on the page I just sent to you, there's one section about where can I find information about English, and then we have a list of the right organizations.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know, like even in our group, but I've seen it in other Facebook groups as well. There's a lot of information being shared, a lot of things that might be speculative or just lots of noise about what's going on with how the Dutch and how the EU as a whole is handling the response. And so I think it'll be really helpful to have this information that is official, that it comes from the Dutch government and has been translated, and that will be super helpful. Thank you so much. And is there anything else that you wanted to share with our members?
Well, just once again, yeah, thank you to have me, and also as said, for all the new people coming in now, that doesn't matter what kind of question you have. Maybe you're renting somewhere and you don't know what are your actual rights because there's a problem with your landlord. Well, I'm not a legal officer, but I might know who can help you. So yeah, just contact us. But also, as said, I'll also, if you have, like, if you feel lonely now in these times, which I can imagine with coronavirus, you're in a new country, everything is new, you don't even get to know the Dutch culture. Feel free to give us a call, have a chat, and really try to connect with the communities, and come by at the Expat Cafe so we can at least have a chat. Because for us, it's important that you're happy in Rotterdam, even though in these times, and I can imagine you miss families, but yeah, know that we're here for you, and looking forward to meet a few of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, that makes me reminds me of another question about legal services. Is that, do you, as the Expat Center, provide the any type of legal services, or do you, if people have specific issues pertaining to their specific situation, are you a resource where, like, do you refer people to other lawyers or legal services?
Yeah, so we don't give any legal services ourselves. However, there is, for example, there are two organizations. One is the Rechtswinkel, and the other is Juridisch Loket. And they're both also funded organizations that have their desks in Rotterdam. There's also a phone number whereby you can call them for some legal advice for free. And they are also the ones, if they feel like, oh, you really need a lawyer or you really need to get deeper into it, they will then forward you to the right parties.
Oh, that's awesome. Because I know something that we always encounter is just people having really specific questions about their own situation.
Yeah.
And we just can't provide those answers. And I know the same goes with taxes, that a lot of people have very unique situations to themselves, and how they need to file. I know, again, with the 30% rule that you mentioned before, that can be people struggle to figure out, like, well, does it apply to me? Does it still apply to me? And how do I claim it? And so you mentioned in March that that Venture Cafe will do a session, or will have information about doing taxes. Is that correct?
Yeah, in March we have a session about the taxes and also how to file for your income tax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And, it will be on the, let me see, it's the last Thursday of the month. So it will be on the 25th of March.
Okay. Great. That's awesome. And I'm sure we'll be there in March as well. Just to greet anyone who is new and just has probably any non-tax related questions. Although I know that having tax issues and questions addressed is really important and a really top of mind item for expats from any country living in the Netherlands. So cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Laura. I really appreciate you coming here and answering my questions and our members' questions, and telling us more about what we can do in Rotterdam and how we can live our best lives. Is there, and can we follow you on Facebook, on LinkedIn? Where's the best place to follow Rotterdam Partners on social media?
Yeah, so on Facebook, you can follow us on Rotterdam Expat Center. We have a page, and on LinkedIn, it's indeed Rotterdam Partners, but it's also more business related, but there you will also find news about the Expat Center and our events as well. But I think for now, the best is to follow us on Facebook. There we try to also share the activities that are going on every week with you. And also, thank you so much for having me, Sterling. It's great to be here.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, I really look forward to when we can all hang out again and be at Venture Cafe or at the Expat Center or wherever, because I know that we're all really missing that that connection. So I just wanted to let everyone know, thank you again for being here. And we do have, speaking of hanging out with each other virtually, we will be hosting a coffee and collab event this Friday online. Christina will be online at noon. You can find that information on our website or in our Facebook group. So thank you again, Laura, so much for your time. And I look forward to seeing you on the 25th of February.
Yes, great.
Cool. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.